As it's a long time ago now, but it's now over a year ago, we went out to tender for new catering providers, and we got Aaron Poole and Son to do the bars, and we got Jaspers to do the kiosks and upstairs. But of course then it was not so much start as hardly start and then stop totally because of the way the season went. So this season is their first season of really having a go at providing catering and bar services for us. And I think, if I start with the bars, I think from what I have seen and having talked to Aaron, he started off with table service and he's now moved to table service plus a bar queuing service, which as long as you don't stay by the bar when you've had your drink, etc., seems to be working, getting people in. I think he'd agree he's happy with that. Is he going to nod his head? Yeah, sort of, yeah, okay. And that's a way of trying to build confidence, so we're not crowding the bar like we'd love to crowd it, like it was pre-pandemic, etc., so that people feel happy, safe, and wanting to come in to the bar to have a drink, to sit down, to stand up, etc. It's a small bar, we are limited by that, but we are trying to bring safe drinking back, if you want to call it that, because it's a vibrant place when it's got lots of people in chatting about what's gone on or not gone on the football pitch, or even what may go on the football pitch, etc., particularly with one or two of the recent matches. The other areas, if I refer to upstairs, upstairs had a slow start. It's working okay in terms of the food, but we haven't had as much hospitality and sponsors in there, as we would like. But I think looking at the board up there, the second half of the season is looking very good. So there are still opportunities there for sponsoring matches or just coming for a meal, and it's a good two-course meal. I'd recommend it. We've had a few minor issues there with the setups and things like that, but we talked to the caterers and we sorted out with them. Kiosks. Kiosks have had an okay start. There have been one or two issues, some of which are unacceptable, and I apologise for anyone who's been on the wrong end of those. Things like warm beer shouldn't happen. We are lacking a bit of fridge space, but there are ways that we can deal with it, and we are trying to do that, talking to Coke to get some more machines in there, etc. Availability of items is a tricky one at the moment. Beers, for example, if anyone of you tries to buy large chunks of beer and cider, you can struggle. They'll let you have 5 packs and that's it, thank you very much, and you can't come back in 2 minutes and have another lot. So some of those supply issues hopefully will disappear. There are bigger supply issues, of course, as we know out in the wider world at the moment. But they will hopefully get on top of that. Things like cold pies, again, these are silly things that shouldn't happen. Again, apologies. They're working on that. So where we hear of issues, we're trying to solve them. The other one I would comment on, and again, this is something we'll look at internally, we hope to introduce, again, as we have at the turnstiles, contactless. It sounds like it's a bit hit and miss at the moment. We've boosted it around the stadium and it seems to work for the turnstiles, but sadly the kiosks don't seem to have had their share of that boost. That's something we need to look at in terms of how the techniques work. We will look at that so that hopefully every kiosk will be able to take contactless if people want to take pay by that method. Alternatively, of course, we can pay by cash. So we're learning, and obviously if people have complaints or concerns or issues, please feed them into the club. They'll get to me and I will take it up with the caterers and see what's gone wrong, what can be put right, or if there's a genuine reason for why something happened on that particular occasion. So we want to offer a decent service so that people are happy to come in early and partake of whatever they want to partake of on that. That's enough I want to say on catering. I'll just cover a couple of other areas, because one of my biggest areas and biggest workload, to be fair, for the last 3, 4, 5 months, whatever, has been facilities. And when we came out of the pandemic and the club came out of hibernation, you could say, there was a lot of jobs, a lot of work on the stadium that had not been done. Some of it safety work that we should do on a regular basis, but clearly we weren't able to do it. We couldn't get contractors to come and do it either. They were all closed down or reduced working. So we've done quite a bit of work recently on emergency lighting, fire safety, systems being upgraded, and we've also, you may not have noticed, some may, we've now put a disabled alarm in each of the toilets right away around the ground. It's something that we've been lacking, so that if there's an unfortunate incident with somebody in there, they are able to pull the cord and somebody, a steward, will come and assist them in whatever way assistance is needed. That's something that I'm quite pleased that we've managed to do. It's something that I think future ground grading will have picked up anyway, but we've got in ahead of that on that one. Probably finally, I'll talk about the car park very briefly. It's an interesting topic. It's been a long, big topic for me. Try to sort it out as best we can with our friends down the road, Vinci. As you can see now, those who've been recently, we have got back I call it the overflow, but the area at the back, the hardcore car park, is now fully back under our control. There's a very small compound in the corner which is on land that they've cleared that wasn't something we used for car parking. So we're back to full car park capacity, and that's good. Vinci have done the best they could. They were a little bit late in terms of getting the area cleared, but we are back now with a full car park. At some point in the next couple of weeks starting, we will start to see some of the benefits of the help that we've given them, which will be in repairing potholes and areas in the car park that are clearly not great for running cars over, or even trip hazards, you could say. So there will be a little bit of disruption. Fortunately, you could say fortunately, perhaps unfortunately, we haven't really got any major home games. We've got a couple coming up in one the Cup and the youth team, but no home games, league home games. But just be aware when you are coming into the car park, let's say at any time over the next 2.5 weeks, you may see bollards ahead of you and told to go a slightly different area to where you've gone. That's to allow the contractors to come in and scrape away, clear away, and then tarmac, and they obviously need to clear certain areas for certain times. They reckon it's between 5 and 6 working days to do the work. So just be aware when you come through the car park of that. You may be faced with that. Not on a match day, but there may be certain areas on a match day on the youth match and the Cheshire Cup where possibly certain areas are a little bit bollarded off, but we'll still have all the rest of the car park to go with, so we've got plenty of space. Finally, and this is a warning, some of you have seen on the way in, but on the way out, somebody today in a camper van decided to either lose control or something more serious, we don't know, rammed into one of our gates and has taken it off the hinges and has shattered it. So at the moment we've got one gate that works, so we are a little bit vulnerable security-wise to people coming in that we don't want coming in, let's put it like that. So we've just temporarily put a couple of barriers across which will be closed, and we'll just use the one opening gate to open and close. So just be aware when you're going out tonight and coming in the future, it could be a few weeks before we can get the gate replaced and everything else, maybe longer, hopefully not. Just be aware of coming in, go in slowly, come out slowly in case somebody's coming in the other way. We think another vehicle may have been involved that caused this vehicle to swerve into our gate. We don't know the full details. So just be aware going in and out for car park in terms of being repaired, but also the gate is a little bit narrower, and obviously we're not as secure as we'd like to be on that. I don't think there's anything else I want to say. Oh, well, I could say we now do our own in-house. We have our own in-house cleaner. For quite a few years we had a cleaner, and then we went to contract cleaner and we decided to go back in-house. And although we are on our third cleaner, first one left after one visit, the second one got a better job. We're now on the third cleaner and she's doing a good job. And yeah, you may see her around from time to time, probably not on match day, but she's doing a good job, and yeah, we're pleased with what she's doing. And we think it's part of the family, what have you, to have an in-house cleaner rather than contractor that can change from time to time. I think I've said enough now, so I will stop. If there are any questions, urgent questions, I'll try and field them. If not, you can always email me if you want to talk outside this forum. Yeah.
Just one thing on the car park. Are they going to tarmac it all, or is it just graded and?
They're going to repair it. So most, if not all, of the potholes in front of the east stand will be repaired to actually tarmac the car park. It could be tarmacked on top of what's there, and it would be up in 2 years because it's not on a solid base. And what's there now is not great. So they're going to do proper pothole and repairs, take it down. There's something called a plane, a great big machine. We see them on the roads occasionally. It's going to come and create that, and then they're going to tarmac it. So a lot of it will be done mechanically rather than by hand, and we will get more done in the time that's available, etc. on that. So the majority of the potholes and such will be done. Obviously, there is a limit in terms of the budget that's there for it in the discussions that we've had with Vinci, along with other work they may be doing for us, which will come to light in the next few weeks and months once it's agreed, etc. Which will be all to the benefit of the club. So it could be, instead of having all the car parks sorted, I don't mean tarmacked anyway, but all literally sorted, we have nothing else done. There may be other benefits to the club which are maybe more important than just car park, and that's what we're talking to them about at the moment through the board.
The other point is, any chance of having the loudspeakers outside turned down? Because we can't, when we go out at half time on the west stand, we can't hear ourselves think.
Okay.
The ones in where you come through the turnstile and the one outside are just too loud.
Okay, so that's on the west?
On the west stand.
Yeah.
Is that, anyone notice it outside the north or the east? I mean, I don't know if it's general levels or it's just that particular setting is wrong.
I don't know if you can alter.
I don't know myself, but we can ask the question and see, and if it's just the west, then we can look at adjusting the volume.
Yeah.
we'll
No,
do
when
that.
you're queuing to get in the turnstile,
I know.
you're literally like that.
I was here for the women's match, or just before the women's match on cup match on Sunday, and they must have put something on through the tannoy, and it was music from the dressing room. I think you probably could have heard it in where I live in Mickle Trafford. I suspect it was extremely loud. It probably made the players feel happy, but I was going around and I was doing this. But anyway, that's just me, and I don't like loud music. Okay. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Regarding the catering, simple things should be easy. You mentioned warm beer. My daughter came over from the Netherlands, went for a beer at half time, and the East Stand, not available. Tuesday night I went for coffee. They had no change, so I couldn't get a drink.
Okay.
And if you look at the meal deal for £6.50, you can buy the individual items cheaper.
Yeah, I've got to check that one. I heard somebody, I think I saw it somewhere. I'll check on that one because we did look at that, and I was assured that that price was what was required. I'll have a look at it, and if clearly it's not a deal, then we will look at it with them.
I think the pies are £3, the coffees are £1.50, and a chocolate bar £1.
It may depend on the combination of things, but if it's top heavy, then we'll look at it. What we did find when we looked at it, £5 originally was nowhere near what it should be, and they said we need to look at this, and I said what should it be? We'll look at it.
Well, these are just simple things. You
They
can't
are,
even get a
absolutely.
program in the ground. There's no program seller.
That's
Not in the East Stand.
No, there isn't. I think that was a reason we said. I don't know whether we've lost program sellers, but I think it was decided to put them outside to concentrate people getting in rather than having as many inside as well as outside. We used to have both. So it may be again coming back to a lack of volunteers, and if we're able to supplement the volunteers and bring them back inside, then I don't see a problem in doing that. But again, it does come back to this shout out there. Hopefully we'll get a few more people wanting to volunteer to do something, because we are down on volunteers. Understandably post-COVID and everything else, but I think we do need to increase the numbers who are hopefully helping us, because it does put pressure on everyone else to do more, which isn't always possible or isn't as possible in a timely manner.
You're talking to, what, 55, 60 people in here. I might put an announcement out on match day. We are in need of volunteers. Is there anybody that can volunteer to do this? You know,
Yeah.
it only takes Craigie to say to me.
That's-
Everybody ignores it.
That's no, that's true. I mean, obviously, Andy was saying here that will be going out in certain ways, social media and everything else. I don't see why it can't be put out on the tannoy. We could probably put more out on the tannoy, as long as Clay doesn't lose his voice. Putting certain information out there, no reason why we can't. So that again, we can add that to the list of things to do. That's again sounds an easy win.
Okay, thank you very much, Nick. Okay, next I'll pass over to Adam if that's okay for a bit of a fundraising update.
Yeah, so I'll be nice and quick because fundraising's relatively quiet at the moment because our big schemes in the last 2 summers have been boost the budget. And my first thing I wanted to say was just a massive thank you to all the fans that have contributed towards it. It's one of the reasons why last season we had a competitive squad, and this season I'm a very optimistic Chester fan. I get as angry as anyone, and then after a game before Chorley, I thought we'd win. On the Monday after, I thought we'd win the next one. But I think it's the reason why we will have a competitive squad again this season. So it's a massive thank you to the fans for that. I'm very conscious that the club being fan-owned, we rely on the fans a lot for fundraising. And I think we've got to be very careful in going to the same group of people to fundraise constantly. So I'm very conscious about leaving big gaps between fundraising campaigns so as not to reach the same group of people again and again and again. And hopefully we can explore sort of more commercial aspects in the meantime between fundraising with fans. So at the moment we're sort of filling prizes. I'm not sure if anyone's seen the bricks that are the new fancy shiny bricks that are by the other ones. So if you were last season's tier 2 and selected a brick, your name or message should be on there. So please feel free to have a look. They look quite nice. And we were worried they'd fall off when we installed them, though, and they haven't, so that's more positive. So in terms of fundraising, that's it for now. in terms of other things that I'm sort of involved with, so I'm quite in a unique position where I'm a local councillor for Cheshire West and Chester Council for Newton and Hall, and being a big Chester fan, I'm in quite a unique position where I can try and foster that relationship between the two organisations and try and strengthen relationships commercially and around sort of facilities and different aspects of support with each other and with different partners in the city of Chester. So does anybody have any questions? Sorry for being so short. Nice and easy. Thank you.
Okay. So Paul's not here, so I'll give the limited commercial update. One of the things that always gets said is, why don't the club employ somebody or get somebody in who will do some commercial work on a pro bono, sort of percentage rate. So I'm pleased to report that this week a company called Open Clubhouse, under a gentleman called Mike Turner, has started working on behalf of the club on exactly that basis. So we're starting initially on a 3-month trial period to see what the return of that commercial venture can be. His job role will be looking at the commercial activity from the club, from the big sort of premium, as I refer to it, of your stadium sponsorships and stand sponsorships, all the way through down to lower items. Every credit to Paul. I do have every sympathy on the back of COVID and the issues that we have with the commercial challenges. It is an area this club has been particularly weak on, in my view, when I was a supporter when we first reformed, and then on the board, I don't think it's ever anything we particularly cracked. So Mike's role is very much one that he generates his money by what he can generate on behalf of the club. Just to be really clear, if anyone walks away, that is on new sponsorship deals. So this isn't somebody who's going to come in and turn around and say, I'll have 10% of MBNA, I'm going to have 10% of all of those sponsorship boards out there that you've already got. This is somebody who can bring new businesses to the club. They will then class as a lead generator for anybody who's common with the term. They then make their money that way. So that started this week. There's no new glossy signs and new sponsorship deals yet, because he's only just started, but it's an initial 12-week trial period that we've agreed to, and hopefully it will work. If not, there's lots of people there who want to do it, all with different rates of commission and different levels of experience. So Mike Turner and his company are being involved at the moment with Yeovil, are a club that they've done significantly well with this season, so we look forward to working collaboratively with him at least until Christmas, and all being well a lot longer, because I think if it goes well, it's more money is generating from the club from different commercial sources. Has anyone got any questions particularly on that? Okay. Next part, finish off at the AGM, just for the purposes of noting. AGM is going to be held on the 4th of November, Thursday night. The papers for the AGM are going in there, and I've got the initial snail mail here. Snail mail on the 14th, they will be emailed on the 16th. So the idea being that they should hit everybody's either doormat or inbox at the same time. I encourage everybody to check their junk mail. So just for context, I use my Chester FC email account, and anything we send for the AGM goes into my junk email, even though it's Chester FC. So please, I encourage you on the 16th of October, if you haven't got it, check your junk box, because it's a big mail merge document, it automatically gets picked up as spam, because you won't be surprised we don't send it one person at a time for all 1,000 whatever members it is. Okay. In terms of the agenda items then, so the next part is obviously the Q&A. Managers have just come in, so what we're going to do is take a sort of a 10-minute break, if that's okay, and then we'll move into the Q&A section, if that's all right. So start again, 10 minutes time, so 25 past. No, we'll do that one in there.
Right. Yeah, good, thanks.
Before we start the Q&A, it's last orders at the bar, so if anyone does want another drink, can they go and get one now?
never worried about Lynn Davis.
Oh yeah, too. Thank you. Cheers.
Okay, are we ready to make a start on the Q&A? If that's okay? Okay. Brilliant. Thank you very much for everyone who stayed for the Q&A part of the session. So we've got board members here, but obviously I think that the Q&As are going to be directed to the first team managers who did pick up Q&As as we went through the first half. Best way to get into it really is, do you want me to pass over to yourselves? Do you want to have a few words and then we can kick into the Q&A session?
Yeah, no problem, yeah. I suppose I'll start with the elephant in the room, and that was Tuesday night's performance, and probably, more importantly, my interview. I'd like to think so far since I've been at the club in 3.5 years, you all understand me as a person, what my best friend's like as a man, how upfront we are, how honest we are, how open books we've been. Some people won't be happy with our social media presence, no problem with that, I get it. Some people will love it. And I put a tweet out the other day, I think it said something along the lines of what people liked about you to start with, they end up using against you in the end. I totally understand it. But we came into the club 3.5 years ago after a relegation and a few weeks after nearly being liquidated again. And there was a lot of apathy around the place for various reasons, the previous board and stuff like that. And I've got to be honest with you, it feels probably like it's sort of going back to how that was when we first took the job, whether that be performances on the field, whether that be other things that people got issues with. But I think it's vitally important to understand the reason behind the interview, the way I spoke behind the interview, because of the passion that me, Bernard, Steve, Nathan, the rest of the staff have got for this football club. I know you think we're just passing strangers that are coming through the club for however long we're here. We're not, we're bought into it. We love the football club. It's your football club. You'll always be here to the day you die. You'll pass it on as a legacy to your families. We'll move on to pastures new at some point, whenever that will be. But it hurts me, it hurts Bernard, it hurts the rest of us when our motives are questions about what we do at this football club. Without going into detail, Jim and the rest of the board know what we put into this football club. Off the pitch, on the pitch stuff is what matters, it's a results-based business, and we accept that, we'll take that all day long. But the reason I talk about being transparent, having an open book and giving clarity is so that rumours don't ever start. So if anyone's ever got any questions about why we do certain things, it doesn't even matter if it's selection, tactics, interviews, just ask the question, because then what it does is it absolutely culls the need for conjecture and rumour, which is when that spirals out of control, we have a major problem on our hands because no one knows to put the lid on it, whether that be board or us. But I don't want it to seem like, again I used this word the other day, I don't want it to seem like platitudes and empty promises that we come out with. Until these decide that we're not this football club anymore, we will give absolutely everything to it. Absolutely everything. That's not just on the pitch, that's not just style of play, that's not just picking a team, that's attending the certain events that we're asked to attend, but doing it because we want to be here and not because we feel like we have to do it. We love the football club every bit as much as you have, and we realise we had to be all in when we did it. A fan-owned club means communicating with supporters, being able to answer questions with honesty, real honesty. I'll be honest, that interview the other night, I felt like some of the questions were loaded. I re-listened to it myself, and the same question was asked the 6 times in different ways. I answered it once, and then it came back at me again. It's an hour after kick-off, after a full time, after being embarrassed on the pitch. Emotions are high. Maybe I've got to take a step back and go, right, okay, next time this is what I'll do. Maybe we don't do an interview straight after the game, after that type of performance. But I just hope everybody, and I know there's not as many as normally would be, I just hope that people understand, whilst we're at this football club, you get everything from us. And if it ever got to the stage where people think we were embarrassing you, whether it be on there or somewhere else, don't ever think that we're staying for a payoff, as some people tweeted me. Because you question, my whole integrity being questioned. I'm not a young lad. I've got 3 children. I've talked about it plenty of times before. This man's exactly the same. So these lads, this boy works for free at the football club. We're here for the love of it. And when it's not working, we'll sit down with the board, like we did yesterday. We'll have an honest appraisal about what we're doing, and we'll make a decision based on it. And I know I was laughed at a little bit by saying I'm a big boy front up, but that's what it was. Sometimes you've got to front up. We just speak to Les before. He said about how I came across an interview. We're honest people. Some people, there's an old saying about honesty is the best policy. At least no one can go away and go, what's he hiding? We will never do that to you. We'll never try and sugarcoat things. We'll never throw our players under the bus. We'll tell you what we think, whether you like it or you don't like it, and then you'll still have your own opinion anyway. But that's, I think it's vitally important to understand how we feel and why we do what we do for this football club. I hope that's understandable and I've not been sort of too much on it. Yeah, is that okay? Any questions?
So I'll open up to the floor now. Is there any questions for the management team?
It seems that now every team we play against is going to play like that. They're going to pack the defence, wait till we do fantastic passing game in midfield, but have difficulty penetrating the defence, and then hit us on the break. I think every team is going to try that on us. We don't seem to have a Matt Reed or anybody to break that down. What's the plan to get round these type of defences?
It's a brilliant question because it's stuff we talk about all the time. What I will say to that is, and again, jump in if you think I'm being deluded. The keeper got man of the match the other night from their point of view, meaning he made a lot of saves, meaning we got into areas of the pitch to make the keeper make the saves. I think Declan Weeks himself, central midfielder, had 3 or 4 one-on-ones with the keeper. Some games like the Blythe game, I can use that as a recent example. Everything you hit goes in. Some games you'll have one like the other night where you'll have the same amount of shots, which is what we did. None of it goes in. I've got stats on my phone from the Chorley game. I'm sure plenty of you were there. They had 19 attempts, we had 18. But because of the nature of the goals, people forget what we've actually done in the build-up to ours. We haven't been ruthless enough in the opposition box. It's as simple as that. The other night wasn't good enough from an attacking point of view, and naturally from a defending point of view, it was unacceptable. Be careful how I said it so it doesn't come across wrong. But the last 2 goals in that 4-0 defeat on Tuesday night don't matter to me and Bernard. The reason it doesn't matter because we put Danny Lindsay up front, chasing a game with 2-0 down against 10 men. We had to have a goal. Now you might not agree with this, but if it was a league game, we might have gone, do you know what? Keep him there, keep playing the right way. We brought James Horsfield on at right wing back so he could deliver crosses from higher up the pitch onto George and onto Danny Lindsay. That was the idea. It didn't work. It didn't work at all. So naturally you get counted on. You get counted, you get counted. And that's what happened in the last 2 goals. The first goal came from a mistake, Louis throwing the ball to Josh. He got pushed off the ball. Came into Louis got smashed and he scored. The second one was a shambles. It's a shambles. It wasn't a counter-attack. We had control of the ball. And they took the ball off us, rolled it to his friend, and he scored. It's embarrassing. The hours we put in on the training ground, I can't give you how many hours. Jim has watched us train, Andy's watched us train, Shane's watched us trained, Baron's watched us trained, sorry. All this stuff goes on in the training ground, you can't mitigate for personal mistakes. And what tends to happen is because we've lost 4 games, they've all been pastings. What tends to happen is everything else sort of comes out much bigger than what it was. So against Charlie with set pieces, the other night might have been seen as counter-attacks. So we're conceding all sorts of goals. But the things that we work on, we kept 3 clean sheets that last 4, I think it was. I conceded 1 out of the previous 4 before Tuesday night. So the stuff we worked on after the Chorley game has worked perfectly. Then it comes on to roost again on Tuesday night. So yes, we work on things. Yes, we have a plan to deal with certain stuff, but it's come back again. And it's so easy to go because it's correct. That's happened again. That happened 3 weeks ago with Charlie. So the stuff we work on and working consistently for whatever reason, whether that's personnel, whether that's me and Bern, like I said in me too, like when we fronted up, we made a change with Jack Redshaw coming in as a centre forward who's finished top scorer in this league a few years back, top player, finisher. will give us a little bit more in the final third. We tried to sign another player today. On loan, the ball's back to us. We've been a loan player in, couldn't get it done. Unfortunately, he's from the league above. He'll give us pace, speed, width, penetration, everything you've talked about. So we can see the stuff that you see. We don't sort of bury our head in ourselves to know everything's all right. We've got a very, very talented group of players that we absolutely adore and love, but we've also got to find a way of turning nice, pretty stuff into being ruthless and having a Matt Reed type of character and mentality of when I get the opportunity, boom, I score. So that just feels like that's where we've been at over the last few games, and they're the things that we work daily on, or when we're in training, sorry. That's what we try to work on.
I agree that not every goal has the same importance, and the most important goal is the first one. And unfortunately, it's usually against us, which puts us in a difficult position then, and in an easy position. We need to be a bit patient.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. So again, I've got the stats in the office. The amount of goals we've conceded in the first 10-15 minutes have been alarming. Absolutely alarming. And the polar opposite to that is the amount of goals we've scored late on in games. Equal amounts. But the way we started games, I watched the game, the whistle went on Saturday, and on Tuesday night, and I focused on the first 10 minutes. And we talked about not giving long throws. We talked about in the first 5 minutes we give 3 long throws away. So you start to worry if it's a panic situation. Don't do this and end up doing it. And maybe it's the language that's used. I'm not sure. I'm not a psychologist. But you're absolutely spot on. These are things that haven't happened previously. I can stand here and say it's because of COVID. We're still getting fit. Tuesday night, Charlie, we're nothing to do with COVID or injuries or nothing like that. It's about personal responsibility. So the lads that to do with the goals that we conceded Charlie, who played against Marsk away on Saturday, headed things clear for 95 minutes. But it's personal responsibility. It's doing your job. Steve has made a brilliant point, well, it's so basic. Do the job you get paid to do, and we'll be absolutely fine. It's doing the basics right. But at the minute, we're starting getting slow, despite, look, this is what we want to be. Too many square passes, the opposition score, and you're chasing the game, which leaves you open. So when and even the games we won, I think about the Blythe game, we obviously went 1-0 down, and it could have been 2 with the offside goal, but we end up opening up and playing and winning 5-1. So we've got to get back into that, the performance levels of not conceding early, but being the team that ends up taking the lead, so the opposition have to come out, and then we can end up breaking on them as well.
So how are we going to get there then?
Just by doing what we're doing on the training ground. We know exactly what's going wrong. We know exactly what's going wrong. We can see it a mile off. The first goal on Tuesday night is a mistake between goalkeeper and left back because he's trying to start a counter attack, like you just talked about, for the opposition very quickly. If you remember the goal, he's thrown the ball out. Josh is not looking where he's mad. He's been pushed off the ball. Boom, boom, boom. Score. The Blythe goal was very similar. When we're on the attack, little quick counter, comes out wide, crossing to the box. And to be fair to the boy, it's a good finish. He's done well. But it's coming from us being so desperate, being in the opposition's half and trying to push and push and push, that we're switching off. And I think it becomes a combination of things. Because we're in a bad run, we're desperate. We're absolutely desperate to push on that little bit further, leaving space and gaps behind and switching off at times. So the question is, how do you get better at that? And it's just stuff on the training ground that we have to work on. It's the messages that we pass out. It's the information that are on the boards before the game. Do the job that you're paid to do. Concentrate. Don't go chasing something that doesn't exist yet. So it's just all we can do is keep working on what we're working on. And I don't want to use the word like hope and luck in football, because it's a nonsense. No such thing. It comes from mistakes and preparation. That's what goals and results come from. So all we can keep doing, like we did after the Chorley game, is hammer what we want to be on the training ground, like we've done tonight, and the mistakes will stop and we'll start to get into a good rhythm and a good run. We believe.
I'm not one of these detractors who too much in the go, because we've had pipers in the cottage. we know you're passionate. Like, but we sit in the West Stand on the halfway line, and we see it week in, week out. We've got 3 lads in midfield, Weeks, London and Hardy. And Declan Weeks is the smallest, but he's the only one that really tackled. We need somebody like a Gary Stuckman in there. But also, George, I think George Lennon is so bloody smooth, he's bloody fantastic. But he doesn't see out of his right eye. I'm not being funny. He can be running down, and he'll turn, and the winger or the fullback goes past him on the right, and he doesn't pass to him, and that guy's flying down the wing. And we saw it on Tuesday night. I mean, bloody
Kevin Roberts.
Kevin Roberts was bloody bringing down, and he stopped, looked around, and passed it back. And Kevin had gone past him, and he was free. But he doesn't have a right eye. He's always looking in to the ground. He's not looking.
You're not filming it there with that. Glenel's at home watching this. He's just texted me.
Sorry. I think you're pretty marvellous. But switch your right eye on a match day. I'm not saying. Hey? Yeah, so.
So, are you saying George is not good enough?
No.
So you're saying he lacks awareness?
I just said he's a cracking player.
So he lacks awareness on the football pitch?
You've got to stop this. Always wanting to put that long ball over to ask you. You've got to look at the right hand side as well as the left hand side. Yeah. And this is what we all see at this.
Can I just interject a bit? You don't like, I'll start talking. When we watched the game back Tuesday night, so we all watched the game back. 80% of our attacks came from the right hand side on Tuesday night.
Just shows how few attacks we have then.
80%. Well, we had, yeah, no, okay, that's a fair point. I think they had 5 shots and scored 4. We've had something like, I think 19.
Robert was standing there with his arms in the air so many times.
Yeah, but I'm just. We analysed the game, so we watched the game back. Mine isn't opinion based. Mine's facts.
Yeah.
So the amount of time that we got down the right hand side on Tuesday night goes against the point of we don't get out of the right hand side. Whether the quality when we got out the right hand side is good enough or not isn't up for debate. It wasn't good enough. Crosses hitting the first man, but all our best chances on Tuesday night, especially the first half, came down the right hand side. So we have almost like a heat map which shows where the ball is generally. And on Tuesday night, I think, if you remember quite right, that their right wing back was right against Josh Askew. We never got Josh Askew in the game at all. And they almost stood off Kev as if they knew our left hand side was stronger. So the amount of times we got Kev out there was good enough for us. But I absolutely take your point of the fact that there might have been moments where he could have played it and didn't do. We got beat 4-0. We didn't score enough goals. So your point is absolutely spot on.
I'm just trying to put an opinion across.
No, absolutely. And the point is that we got down that side, but our quality was poor. Whether that be from Glendon, whether that be from Roberts, or Dudley just out there a few times as well. Whatever the quality wasn't right, it wasn't because we didn't get there. But you spot on. I take your point 100%. Yeah, absolutely. So I'll tell him to take that pirate patch off.
Jono, there's one thing that annoys me, and I see it a lot, is that in the centre half position, passes to the left half, and then he could go forward, but he doesn't, he passes it back to the centre half, who then passes it to the right half. And they never seem to be wanting to go forward. What's the answer to that?
Is that just a Chester thing, or is that just in general?
Well, that's Chester thing, yeah.
Because we strive off watching Premier League football, and we're always trying to learn, and coaches out there that are better than us, that have different philosophies and identities, we're always working towards trying to be better. Now we believe, giving ourselves a platform, playing out from the back, will invite opposition on, and with...
Yeah, I'm sure there is a reason for it, but I just don't understand
I do agree, because when you're getting beat, the emotions after a game when you've been beat 4-0 and you see Paddy Lacey going getting on the out turn and passing to Josh, and Josh passes back to Grandy.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, I get that, I do, but we can't change what we are because we're losing a game of football. This goes back to a plan B. And I need you to answer this question. What's a plan B when you're getting beat 4-0? Is it saying, Paddy, stop doing what you do?
Well, plan B should have come in before the 4-0.
What's the plan B? Go on, answer me, what's the plan B?
In my opinion, the other night, one of the things we should be doing, especially in the first half, we should have been pettering more shots in that goal. We had the wind behind us, we should have been hitting 25-yard shots all day long.
Paddy Lacey had 4 in 5 minutes.
That keeper would have dropped one in the end, in that wind.
So, do you know how many shots Paddy Lacey had in 5 minutes?
I don't know.
4? Did you not hear me in the gaffer screaming and shouting at him?
I did, yeah, I sit behind you, you know what I said.
9 shots on target we had in the first half. Declan Weeks had 4 of them. If you're telling me that Declan Weeks has got to be better in front of goal, I'm going to go, I agree. But shooting from 25 yards with the wind and it going over 10 times, you're going to start going up saying, get that donkey off the pitch. Because I've heard you say that. I totally agree with you. But if that's what we've got to revert to, shooting from 25 yards to try and break a side down from 2 leagues below.
Well, it wouldn't have done in the arm every now and again.
But that's not a plan B. I believe a plan B is chucking Danny Livesey up front and going long. That's what we believe a plan B is. And we hear this thing, you've got no plan B. No, you might be right. I want to know what a plan B is. A change of formation, is that a plan B? I'd say so, yeah. And we always try and affect the game from the sideline, and we're not always going to get it right. And at the minute, we're probably getting it wrong more than we're getting it right. But we've been at the football club 3.5 years, and people will say they expect us to be better in our 4th year. We agree. There's 42 games in the season, plus your cup games, if we play well in them, and we do well. You're talking 55. 7 games into the league, have we been good enough?
I appreciate that.
We've not.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Do we have any divine... So the fixtures come out, and I say to my pal, do we have a divine right to go to Chorley and win? I'm going to tell my honest opinion. No.
Yeah, well,
This is a side that compete. Do we go to a full-time side like Kidderminster and win? No. Should we be beating Curzon Ashton at home? Yeah, we should. Why should we? Because we're at home, in front of a big crowd, and we'll back ourselves to win. That's not because Curzon are not a good side, but we'd expect to win a game of football at home against Curzon. They're our only team, believe it or not. We've lost 3 times in the last 4 seasons to Curzon Ashton at home. So there's no, it's not something out of the blue. It's happened. Why does that keep happening? If we knew that, then it wouldn't happen. We believe against Curzon Ashton, albeit it was 3-0, and it's a terrible result on paper. You watched the performance first half, it was bad. Second half, we knocked on the door, we threw the kitchen sink at Curzon Ashton for 45 minutes. George Waring missed from 3 yards out on the 46th minute. If that goal goes in, it changes the whole dynamic of the game, but it didn't. We're then pushing and pushing and pushing. Simon Graham makes a mistake. Late on, but 94th minute, we lose 3-0. It looks ridiculous on paper. It really does, like Tuesday night did. And John was right. We want to win more than anybody at this football club. We want to win more than anybody. And at the minute, if we're not getting it right, is there a reason why we're not getting it right? There might be. If there's something we're not seeing, then we're going to try and work towards getting it right. At the minute, have we changed as managers? Are we under pressure? We understand it's a results game. We do. And we'll keep tweaking things massively, not massively, fine margins, big margins. We will tweak and tweak and tweak till we believe we can get it right. As you're doing that, people say, oh, you've got to stick with something. You've got to give them a chance. It's got to be 5 or 6 games. But when you've lost 3 out of your first 7, then you can't be a constant with that same team because there's something not right with them. So there's an imbalance at the minute. It's what we're trying to do. We've just gone 4 previous to Tuesday. We've gone 4 unbeaten. We've had Simon Grand and Matty Williams who've kept 3 clean sheets out of 4. 2 clean sheets out of 4 because Danny was in, Danny Cameron did 1. We went to Tadcaster on Friday night, me and John, to watch them. And going into that game on Saturday, everybody's telling me how good Matty Williams had been, and Simon Grant's hit a bit of form, and we're keeping clean sheets, we look solid. We made a massive decision to leave them both out and play Danny Livesey because he's our main threat in terms of first contact, and Dan Cowan, who's an athlete, who'll cover with pace. That's what we highlighted, and we executed it brilliantly. If Lloyd Marshoes takes his chance in the 85th minute, then there's no replay. We bring him back here. Should we have stuck with Danny Livesey and Dan Cowan? Who knows? But we did, and we failed. Is it their fault? Dan Cowan played a part in it. Did Danny Livesey? Not really, no. But we're looking for the answers you're looking for. We're just not getting them at the minute. And that's not shying away from anything. I want you to answer me a question tonight where everybody's told to go like that. And if I can answer it, I'll answer it. There's no hidden agenda here with me, John. No.
As a Chester fan, I don't expect to win every game. Otherwise, I'd support another club. So I don't expect to win every game. And I respect you as managers to have a plan B. Your plan Bs are going to be better than my plan Bs. But sometimes it's a bit frustrating that the plan B doesn't kick in until rather late in the game. Plan B doesn't happen in the first half, it always happens later on in the second half. And that's what I find really frustrating.
Was you at the Chorley game?
No, I didn't. I didn't go to
So after 25 minutes, we went to our plan B.
Okay.
It was 3-0 down. We put George Waring on, we sacrificed Luke Clark. Damage limitations. Did it work? Yeah, it did. Because we only conceded 1 goal after we made them changes. And we created so many chances second half of Charlie, as John has always said. 18 shots we had that game and only converted 1. We have to take that. We just do, because that's the way we work. We'll always try to take the blame. And at times, as a support, you might turn around and go, do you know what, for once in your lifetime, it isn't your fault. George Ware's got to be taking his chances. Anthony Dudley's got to be scoring from 4 yards out. Jack Redshaw's got to get on the end of that. Louis Gray's got to do better. We don't work like that. But a plan B is what we try to execute at Chorley away, where we're taking a player off that we respect highly, that's played in the league after 30 minutes. Come on, off you go, son. You've not been good enough. You've cost us a goal. We're now going to throw the kitchen sink at Chorley. It would have been dead easy at Chorley at 3-0 down to go, let's not concede any more goals. We then get ourselves back in the game because George becomes an handful. Dan Cowan gets the goal. Second half, conversation at half time is, these are panicking, not us. Surely the ones that are under pressure here, we can see the body language from the sideline. What don't we do the first 5 minutes? We do not concede for the first 5 minutes. What do we go and do? We concede. It's not something we do on purpose, it's just something we've done. And when we look at it, we understand. We totally understand and we totally back you, but what we can't do as managers is insult the players the way you can as a supporter. And when I say it's not an insult, it's an opinion, but it's still, come on, you've got to do better. So I would take it as an insult or a kick up the backside. You've got to do better. Dig him out. Dig them out. We'll dig them out in-house, but we'll never come here in front of the camera and an audience and go, such and such, but it's not been good enough. But players have to take accountability, just like myself and John will do. And with that, I keep saying in my interviews, we will get there. Can we be any worse than what we've been? No, we can't. Given the platform to improve, we will improve.
Is that a promise?
At Farsal, we're 2-0 down, we changed the shape into a 3-5-2, I don't know if you remember. And we got back in at 2-2, that was off the back of COVID and stuff like that. Against Alfredton, we had a man sent off at 1-0 down. Obviously I was sent off again. He pushed Josh Askew up from left back as a centre forward. We won the game with 10 men after being pegged back twice. The subtle changes that we make in games against Blythe at 1-0, those subtle changes. Might be a player coming in off his line, 10 yards, that then allows us to win the game 10-1. At 1-1 against Blythe, if you remember, George Waring scored the tapping on the line, we brought him straight off after the goal, and we went and won 5-1. Most people might have gone, he's just scored, leave him on. So the balance is, we've also made changes in games this season, 50-50 changes, with a plan B, or a plan C, if that's what you want to call them, that have worked. But the nature of football is nobody talks about it when it works well. They talk about and remember it when it doesn't work, or when you haven't used it, as you quite rightly pointed out a few times. So when it works, no one mentions it. When you do a plan B and it doesn't work, your plan B is not good enough. We get 3 hours a week to train with the lads, 3 hours. We don't have enough time to work on a plan B. It's hard enough to work on a plan A and execute a plan A in 3 hours a week. But you have to find a way of doing it. These players are clever, intelligent lads. Not off the pitch, by the way, on the pitch. So they understand what's required when we're chasing a game. If that's what we're talking about, or it might be 0-0, but we're under the cosh. So we'll work on certain systems tonight. We've done what we call an 11v11, a full match over a period of time with a different shape, a different formation and tactic, in the hope that that can work way forward. So you don't see the changes we make when it does well, because it's not mentioned. It's a criticism when you lose, because the emotion of that result brings out absolutely everything. Does that make sense or not? Yeah. And I think over the years, since we've been here, I mean, we had a fella, every time we've lost 9 games at home in nearly 4 years. Single figures we've lost. Flipping third of them have been against Curzon. That's not the point. We have a fella that stands at the tunnel, I say every time we lose, we've only lost 9, who claps us off the pitch and sarcastically says to us, brilliant, well done, what a job you're doing for the club. Never once when we've won has he stood there and gone, well done lads, you win. That's the little tiny details that sometimes you're up against, and our friend there, in the first season, wore a big orange wig and a clown nose on, calling us a couple of clowns. Bear in mind, it was 2 weeks after we lost 8-1. Absolutely deserved, by the way. Now he supports us. He's still one of the loudest ones that gets behind us when it's not going well. Everyone's entitled to an opinion. But it only seems that the other stuff comes out when it's not working. Rather than, I'm not an egomaniac, it doesn't matter to me. I don't care what people think or say, all I'm bothered about is the result. But nobody seems to pick on the stuff you just stuff, the plan B stuff, when we do well. It's only that when we lose, you haven't got a plan B. And it sound like a baby by saying it's not fair, but 3 points but we do have plan Bs, we have plan Cs and Ds sometimes. It's just that you don't see it so often because we don't work on it that often, because it's a time element. So when we was, I think the season we was before at Salford, we scored something ridiculous, like 45% of our goals came in the last 10 minutes because we was a big athletic side, so we could change shape and go a little bit more direct, and it worked for us. Josh Askew and Jack Redshaw up top. Remember the Bradford Park Avenue game, the last game last season? The smallest team you have ever seen. And we conceded 3 set-piece goals. It's our fault for recruitment. When Danny Lives is injured, George Waring's injured, Akwasi always injured, them type of players we're missing. You are what you are, and you have to deal with it the best that you can, and that comes down to our recruitment because we haven't signed enough stronger players in certain areas of the pitch, but it works both ways. We've been hammered about conceded set-piece goals. I'm sure everyone will believe that. We've conceded set-piece goals in 2 games this season. 2. But because of the nature of one of them coming in a 4-1 defeat, it gets exasperated. No one talks about the other 90% of games where we don't concede a set-piece. Again, I don't want praise, but no one talks about the amount of set-piece goals we score on set-pieces. Why? Because we've had a bad start to the season. So everything is focused on the negative side of stuff. Because we're all desperate for wins, performances, 3 points. Sometimes you don't see the wood for the trees. You don't see the good stuff. We're not basking in what we've done well. So, brilliant point about the pass. The purpose behind pass is to draw the opposition out, counter-attack. It was amazing when Brad Jackson used to fly, Dan Mooney used to fly, JJ was flying last season. We had the right type of personnel. Excuse me. All of a sudden, JJ leaves, an injury to 1 or 2 players, Jack Redshaw's cup tied, then the same things that worked the game before don't work in a certain game. It's about adapting. We haven't adapted in enough games this season. It's as simple as that. It's not excuses, it's not mitigated circumstances. We haven't executed it. And that's why in the interviews we go, it's on us, we picked that team and expected them to play that way and counter. We haven't got a place to counter. I hope that gives a bit of perspective of because I've heard that. We hear it all the time about Plan B. Pep Guardiola, the greatest coach in the world, gets labelled about it when in the Champions League stuff. He says, I haven't got a Plan B. I try to master Plan A. We'll try and use any plan. Use Plan Z on Saturday if we can, if it means getting a result. But it's all based on performances of players. You're as good as your players. If our players aren't at it, and our best players aren't playing, and we get beat, we're rubbish. If our best players are at it, they're playing well, we're good managers. You're as good as your players.
Okay, one of the questions we've had from the live stream is, do you plan to refresh the playing squad over the next few weeks?
Do you plan to refresh the
playing squad? Yeah.
Oh, good one. Guys, do you plan to refresh the budget, playing budget?
Incomings and outgoings, do you expect?
Someone brought Jack Redshaw in.
Yeah.
Top signing, by the way. On absolute, I won't say people because that's doing a disservice to the money we raise. But in a good deal, I think we all agree it's a good deal for the football club. The one that we had done today, we believe as a football club, is a good deal. We think they're all good deals. If they're bad performances, they're not a good deal. They're bad, essentially. But without waffling, of course, we always want to improve. But like the gaffer said, we're 7 games in. At some point, if we carry on too long and the results aren't picking up, we're deluded, not doing our job. If you make a jump too soon, the players don't fit in with what you're doing, you're in the same position as what you are anyway. So we're all about diligence. You very rarely see me and Burns bring a young loan signing in for the sake of bringing one in because we don't know them. So when we bring someone in, it's because we know who they are, because we've watched them, because we've had good reports. Quasi, Dan Mooney, Connor Taylor, these players that have come in and excelled on loan, excuse me, are people that we've watched and done our diligence on, because ultimately, it's you like that who are investing in a player coming in on loan. So if the player's right, we trust them, they make us better, then absolutely.
Questions from the floor?
Yeah. Do you not think that these teams that we play obviously have knowledge of how we play, and so they're doing their diligence on stopping us doing what we do? So when we're talking about Plan Bs, it's not necessarily about Plan Bs and As. It's about when this is happening and they're closing Glendon down because they're man-marketing or whatever. What I fail to see is our reaction to that and what we change. I don't know. You may say different. But when teams knowing, like Curzon Ashton, you know, I think they're the best side that's come here probably, apart from maybe Gator so far. But they knew exactly how to stop us playing the way you want our lads to play. And I didn't see us changing stuff particularly to contra that. That's the question.
Yeah, they executed the game plan massively against us, and you sometimes got to pay the opposition credit for doing that. We made a change at half time with Jude coming on, and he absolutely turned the game upside down on its head. And George Waring missed the chance on the 46th minute and opened net. So yeah, you can say, and you're absolutely bang on, their game plan was to smother Declan Weeks and George Glendon, which they did.
Yeah.
But then the other 9 players have got to stand up and be counted. And while people might say 2 of our best players are being man-marked, what about the other 8 field players? Well, they've got to stand up and be counted. And the substitution with Jude coming on at half time turned the game on its head. And like you say, an assist to George Waring from 2 yards out, if that goes in, then the outcome's totally different. For us, again, an individual error, mistake, or not clinical, cost us the game. And on the 46th minute, if that goes in, then Steve Cunningham probably changes his game plan and can't be as adventurous as what they were. But they nullified us, and you have to respect the fact what they did that day. Not that we accept it as managers, because we feel like he got one over on us that game, which he did. Our 2 better players on the ball was, like I say, was nullified. Where was the other 9? Why can't they stand up and be counted for?
I agree with you. I mean, that's exactly what should be happening. So the point I'm making.
We didn't want to sub him.
is
We couldn't take him off after 20 minutes and go, you're being man-marked.
Well, no.
We're expecting George Glendon and Declan Weeks to have a little bit more about them and maybe miss them out for 5 or 10 minutes and maybe go a little bit more direct, or maybe play down the sides.
Well, yes, and that's what I was just going to say, is that it's not just about that. If that's happening, we need to try and do something else. And that something else maybe is being more direct instead of this passing game around the middle of the park. And the other thing is, in getting man marked, you know, we need our own bully in the middle of the park, because I personally think we're too weak in the middle of the park.
I think
Paddy Lacey coming back may be good news.
Well, we've got a professional boxer in there that should be.
So maybe that's a good thing. Well, those are the things that concern me when I see the way we play, that we carry on, appear to me that we carry on playing in that same fashion. And, you know.
We have an identity, and we spend 9 weeks trying to create that identity. And what we are is what we are. If 7 games into the season, 2 games in, we against an opposition that have nullified 2 of our better players, does that mean we change our identity? Do we panic and go, well, let's start going long, and Jim, Andy, can we go and sign a Matt Reid who's 36-year-old?
Yeah.
We have to stand by, and I said this to Jim and Andy yesterday, I will die on my sword at this football club. If it means getting rid of me and my mate because we don't want to adapt in terms of a style of play, I think we're showing opposition too much respect. If an opposition wants to do their own work on us, then that's a lot of respect for us as managers, that sides are going to come and try and nullify us. We've got to find a way to counteract that.
Yeah.
We don't know how our sides are going to come and set up, and certainly if we start the games the way we have, then before we know it, we're 1 or 2-0 down, which has been a common thing.
Yeah.
I said it before, we can only get better, surely. We can't get worse. We can't start conceding 4 goals in 20 minutes. We will hit form, and sides will start to maybe take the foot off the gas in terms of us. Sides will start to doubt us. They think our backs are against the wall. They think our chips are down. Maybe they'll stop paying the respect they have. But I think as a side, your Glendons, your Weeks, your Anthony Dudleys, sides have seen what we was capable of last season, and we executed it so many times in a lot of games. But if you go back to the Telford game here last year, this season before, where we went to Telford 1-3-1, and then Gav Cowan brought a side here and sat 11 players behind the ball for 90 minutes. If you want me and Anthony Johnson to do that with his football club, then that's what we'll start to do. But we haven't recruited for that. We've recruited a style of play, which I still feel like you see. Although we lost 4-0 on Tuesday night, some of the football in the first half is the best football you're going to see at this level. That's a fact. Is it good playing good football and losing? No, it's not. It's really not. And I don't like a centre forward that scores 2, gets beat 4-2 and then retweets his own goals. I can't stand it. And that's not what we want to be. We're in it together. We're working hard all the time to try and improve. We believe we had a signing this morning that's a game changer for Chester Football Club. It's not go through because the lad wants to give it another go at a higher level. This is a player that we believe will improve us and will sort of take the pressure off George Glenn and Declan Weeks, and maybe have to go and man-mark that. Before you know it, you've got 8 players man-marking 8 of our players. It then becomes a free-for-all, and we hope that quality comes through over hard work. I always would like to think that. but it just hasn't happened at the minute, and we believe there's signs there in abundance. There's massively signs there about the football we're playing. It's simple. We have to score more than the opposition. That's not what we're doing at the minute.
Okay, another question from online here is, where do you think we'll finish the season? The answer may well be Brackley.
League position?
Yeah.
In the playoffs. We're 3 points off the playoffs.
Who believes that?
I do.
So
You've got some good players, by the way.
Bad managers, good players.
No, I don't know. Maybe Tuesday was just an off night. But you've got some good players, I think.
Our belief is that we've got a good enough squad. We've got to be competing at the top. He's different to me. I'll try and give you the good. You know, you talked about your Christmas Curzon. We played Farsley at home. We had a train for 3 weeks. We had lads coming back from COVID, Glendon being one of them. And I'm sure you've all seen it in the early season that it affected some of the players. We kept the same team from the Saturday game to the Tuesday game. That was a mistake. From the Farsley game to the Tuesday game, we made a mistake, but we got a point on the board and we wanted to gain momentum, hoping that that extra game for them lads would then push them on. I should have known better having COVID myself. Not that I've ever mentioned it, no one probably knows that. And the players couldn't compete. They couldn't get around the pitch. And I think for the first half, we're going to play 7. For the first 4 or 5 games, we struggled big time. Big time. Lads like Anthony Dudley, lads like George Glenn in that cover, 11, 12k a game, which is what Rodri does for Man City for perspective. Couldn't get around the pitch. Added to that, Kev Roberts has got a knee injury, and Jude picked up an ankle injury. Paddy's still injured. We went to Kidderminster with Kev Roberts and Luke Clark, central midfield, who've both been out since the 3rd week of pre-season. Excuse after excuse after excuse. I don't ever make them, I'm giving them now. The first few games, we couldn't put the same team on the pitch after that Curzon game due to injuries and after effects of illness. And as I tried to explain before, from the Chorley game onwards, none of that was an excuse. But then you start to pick up the niggles, the injuries, 5 and 6 players out of your squad, changing shape, changing personnel. Last year, you could count on your hand, although I know we only played 17, 18 games, but you can't count on hand how many times we changed the team over the next game. So we gain momentum, we gain consistency. I've said it before, we've managed, get my stats up, 586 games. 586 games, I've seen absolutely everything through 90 minutes of football throughout the season and how it works. Yet we've never been through what we had to go through at the beginning part of this season, ever. And I would imagine we'll never have to go through it again. So we talk about consistency, we talk about style of play, we talk about competing with certain sides. We couldn't compete. But can you imagine I came out and said that in my post-match interview after a 3-0 defeat? I'd get slaughtered. I take responsibility that we're not good enough in our recruitment pool. I get slaughtered. So after a defeat, it goes back to what I said about emotion before. People don't want excuses. They don't even want reasons. They want results. But the position that we were in at this football club this season will never happen again. God willing and such wood and all that type of stuff. It's been absolutely horrific. But tonight, how many missed tonight? Jamie Morgan? Yeah. Out of the whole squad, only Jamie Morgan didn't train. He rolled his ankle at Darlow, and he'll be back in next Tuesday, we think, training. So the whole squad is now fit. Being fit and match fit are 2 different things. A marathon runner couldn't play a 90-minute game of football because it's 2 different types of fitness issues. But we're now getting to a stage where we believe we're getting players back. Let's just go back 2 days. 4-0 on Tuesday night was nothing to do with COVID or injuries and stuff like that. It was personal responsibility. But when we're not getting that consistency of the same team on the pitch all the time, that we perhaps put out on a Tuesday to train, and then on the Thursday some are missing again, then you're changing your team for Saturday. We've been in positions we've never done as managers out there 586 games. We're coming up with answers all the time. Or questions, should I say. We come up with questions going, never had to encounter this before. What do we do here? How do we do that? It's been a new thing to us as well. But that's not to say we don't have the answers all the time. But as I said before, you're as good as your players, you're as good as people that are fit. You're as good as what we believe is our style of play. And trusting that, but having an effective plan B, whatever that is at times, has got to work for us. But we back what we're doing 100%, but we can only answer questions because of the poor run of form. And I said to Andy yesterday, we played 6 weeks. So essentially in football terms, 7 weeks ago we were 3rd in the league. 7 weeks ago in football, so forget the COVID lockdown, we were 3rd in the league. 7 weeks later, we're 14th and we're out of the FA Cup, having played 4 games. What's changed? I tried to explain why. You bang on what you said before about teams are now respecting us to the point where that's a good deal with them too. But the gaffer said, players have got to step into space and go, I'll take the ball then. If he's marking him, who's marking me? Our players then are relying on Deck and Glenn to have these world-class games. We're not going to do that every week. Otherwise, we won't be at the level of football we're at. So we're now having questions posed to us that potentially we haven't had before. We're paid to find them answers. If you don't find them answers, one thing happens. It's as simple as that.
Can I just say, John, on Tuesday, I was disappointed because we had a good crowd. The Marsh were 2 divisions below us. They'd been on a coach for 4 hours to get to us. There were so many things that we had in our favour, and I just didn't see the passion in them. And I wasn't bothered at half time. I thought we were 1 goal down, but I thought, you know, you have a talk to them and they'll get 5 in the second half. I just didn't see the goals that I wanted to see. I mean, I'm probably fairy, but I just wanted to see the goals in the second half. I knew we hadn't done anything, done enough in the first half, but I thought that passion could have perhaps instilled in them at half time, maybe.
Yeah, absolutely 100% agree and accept what you've just said. Trust me, at half time, passion was shown. I can assure you, passion was shown in that changing room at half time. If you remember straight from kick-off, we should have scored. Do you remember? Who was it who shot? George Glennon shot. Should have scored. 15 seconds from the whistle. They catch the ball, they go up the other end and nearly score. They get a long throw in, all in the space of a minute. So we got a reaction that we wanted, but then we reverted to tie, i.e. what we did in the first half. And what you just said there about the coach, the levels, all that type of things. It's not acceptable. I don't do my interview after the game for my own benefit to make myself feel better. I spoke the way I did because of what you just said. There's no excuses for that. None. And our job is to find the answers as to why did that happen. As I said to you before, I'm not bothered about the last 20 minutes because we were trying to push for a goal. But the first 70 minutes are so unbelievably unacceptable. It's hard to put into words. Why didn't we show that passion? Did you two show the passion? Did the coaching staff do what they needed to do? Was the information correct? Yeah, so what went wrong then? Football players are human beings, they're not robots, they're not programmed to, after 1 minute, turn passionate. If you're not passionate, there's only so much that can be said and done to that moment. And once you cross that white line as a player, you've got to give absolutely everything that you can to be a football player. There's no excuse, none whatsoever. The answers to why they were like that on Tuesday night, God only flipping knows. God only knows. But it isn't acceptable. And I don't want to say it won't happen again, because it's happened too many times in the past. But from our point of view and the information that was given, in terms of, how do I put it, what's the word, I don't want to call it down in tools, but not showing enough.
Just expected to win, didn't they?
Passion, yeah. I think they thought at some point, things had turned and we'd scored a goal. That's not enough in football. You're spot on. You're absolutely 100% correct. And we can only, by the way, we can only apologise for that, for the players. I know Paddy Lacey's been on social media, so we as a group, we can only apologise for the things that you just talked about. Because they're not things that you buy, they're things that should be instilled into you. To play for this football club, them things should be an absolute given. You're absolutely 100% correct. And they didn't show that. And we can only apologise.
Is that a one-off?
Well, clearly not. Clearly not. Clearly not. Look, listen, you wish, I know we're all having a laugh and stuff like that. Since we've been at this football club, 71% of the games we haven't lost. But because of the disgraceful performances and scorelines on some of them defeats, people only remember this defeats. It almost feels like we've lost 10 on the bounce. Do you get what I mean? Mm. So if we'd lost a couple, I don't know, haven't even lost 30 games, I think we've lost something like that. If they'd all been 1-0, no one remembers them. But because they're against Dunstan, Royston, Marine, Mask, the pacing at Chorley, the pacing against Curzon, losing to Curzon the other 2 times at home, they're remembered. They always will be. Do not think that we don't know when we live this football club, right? That some of the worst football results will be pointed at me in it. We know that. That's what people won't remember, the legacy that we've left of finishing the playoffs and competing with full-time sides and playing football play. It'll be about the results. We're not stupid. We know exactly what's going on, so it's not a one-off. I can't say that to you, unfortunately, because they're not robots. All I can say to you is that the work that we put in is to make sure that we do everything we can so it doesn't happen again.
Can I just say that we came to all the pre-season games and we were really, really excited by what we saw, and we thought you had a super team.
That's because he weren't there.
John, can I just say, I was with my wife when she saw those 3 games. The style of play was, the ball was on the ground. You worked from the back to the middle to the third and final third. What's changed?
I think most people think that we're doing too much of that by the sound of things. And
I remember 2 years ago, John, and you will as well, there was a team called Forest Green Rovers. They played, like I thought, like Barcelona. They had the ball on the ground, they went from the back to the middle to the final third, and they got out of that division. They beat Shammy Rovers. They're in the Football League now, and they're doing very well. I know they've got a lot of money going into the club, but that's not the point.
No.
It's the way they played the football. Now, another thing, John, a lot of our team are fairly small players. We're getting, like Mask, a lot of their players were tall. They were also very, very physical. By that I mean heavy tackles, sometimes fouls. We've got to do the same. And also the style of play, I still believe, Margaret said, we were very impressed. I was even optimistic that we were going to do really, really well this season. I thought we had a really good team put together, like you have said all along.
Well,
what's gone wrong?
I think the style of play is there. I might be delusional, I don't know. I think that in terms of what you're talking about, I think the difference, I just spoke about it there for 5 minutes, that the pre-season, bearing in mind I watched a lot of videos of playing Best for Burnham to talk about it in a sec. We had COVID. The one difference between pre-season and the start of season was 4 weeks of training. I think we trained twice in 4 weeks. Trained twice in 4 weeks. Hereford, Gloucester, Fylde, help me out, Gateshead, Kidderminster, all these full-time sites. Trained more than that in a week. We trained 4 times in 4 weeks. I don't think people understand how profound that is as athletes. So we've gone from being amazing in pre-season, I watched every single minute of every single game with Bernard and Steve and Nathan, unbelievable, to not being able to compete against Curzon Ashton at home. And that's not a disrespect to Curzon Ashton, I'm using that as the first defeat. Why did that happen? I think it's glaring obvious why it happened. That's nothing to do with Tuesday night, by the way. But I think it's glaring obvious why there's a big difference in terms of intensity, tempo, performance levels from that to that. I think it's obvious. That's just me saying that. I might be wrong, and I'll stick to my guns and say that's what it is. It had a massive effect on us, massive, and we're still feeling it now. Goes back to what I just said to you. People don't care. They care about us. They care about the players. I don't mean that. They don't care about reasons. They care about results.
Absolutely.
That's
what
it.
it's
That's
all
what
about.
matters. They're not as bothered. Don't shut up about COVID. All we've heard about is you with your COVID, John. Oh, bloody shut up. I get it. I would be the same if I was in your shoes. You're paid to do a job. Don't make excuses about COVID. I get it. No problem. I'm only telling you the facts. I always go on facts. I don't give my opinion. I give you facts of the difference in terms of this and this. And that's the reason why. And the beauty and pleasant thing about the Blythe game was that we looked back to what we had. In fact, you'd argue it's the best we've been in 2 years. So the signs, that as a coach and as managers, all you want are the signs to be right again.
So do you believe the team now principally are back to full team match fitness?
Not match fitness, most of them are, yes. Yes, they are. Yeah, yes, they are. Yeah.
Okay, just conscious of time, I think there's another question over here.
Yeah, I always think from where I stand, there are 2 styles in play. One with George on and one with George off. And, automatically the players will put a high ball to George. But the question is, are there no left-footed players available? We only seem to have one. Or perhaps 2 at a push.
Yeah, today's player that's turned us down was a left footer.
Right.
And we hope that comes to fruition. We have to respect the fact he wants to give himself the best opportunity to maintain at the level he's at. But we believe coming here and pulling us out there is a good opportunity for him. But he said we've got to give him 10 days, and with that we get through Saturday and then we don't play next Saturday. So hopefully you know, the next time we play after Catering in 2 weeks' time, that, you know, we're maybe 2 players better off. The positions that we believe, you know, we're missing out on at the minute.
Two players better off?
We hope.
Does that include Jack Red?
No, he's in. He scored already.
Right, okay. So does that mean 2 are going out to balance books?
Maybe 3 will go out.
Oh, okay.
We see everything you see, you know. Like you talk about the left footers, you talk about the style of play. We don't kid ourselves. We see absolutely everything you see. You can't keep supporters and pull the wool over your eyes. We know what you see. That's why we don't talk the way we do after games and interviews. You see it better than us. You've got better elevation than us. We don't come here and sit here and try to make excuses for it. Have we had enough left footers in the team? Is that the reason? Maybe. But there's not been a balance to it at times.
We're going to bring a left footer but play him on the right. Seriously.
Don't be surprised by that.
I knew, I was amazed. John's discovered he had a left foot the other day when he curled that one round.
Well, to touch on what
against
these two said, I think Anthony Dudley played his best football he's ever played in pre-season for Chester. And to back up what the gaffer said about Dudley's COVID, you can't go from creating 5 and 6 chances against Bolton, Fleetwood, Nantwich away, Chef Wednesday, to coming in and not looking like a footballer. So you have to think, what's the problem? It's not a confidence thing with Anthony Dudley because he's the maddest footballer we've ever managed. He's just the most different kid. He can never talk. He doesn't talk. He doesn't look at you. He just puts his shirt on and plays his game. And we believe he's shown signs on Tuesday night to be back to his best, although he didn't convert his opportunities. But he looked like a player that we've not seen at this football club. He comes in and out. He's 1 game he's great, 2 he's average, 1 he's poor, and then he's back to his best. If we have that continuity alongside Jack and George and Lloyd Marsh-Hughes, then we're probably not having this. We probably don't even come tonight. But we feel like we have to face the music and answer a lot of questions face to face. That you go away with a little bit of clarity. Not that you might agree with us, but you might go away and go, you know what? Yeah, we half agree with 50% of this said, but the other 50, you know, we don't agree with. We're never going to agree, are we? You'll have a total different team than what me and John will pick. They'll have a total different team. The chairman and Jim and everybody else will have a total different team than we pick. But we just have to keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully we say touch wood, it comes good, which we believe it will. On the other hand, supporters have every right to doubt us. Every single right to doubt us, but as long as you know you've now got a little bit of clarity as to why 1 or 2 individuals might have not peaked.
Well, believe you me, I'd put Duds on every time. It's just that he keeps hitting his left foot and that goal rather than tucking it on his right.
Yeah, he's better with his left, isn't he? That sums Duds up though.
So can I say then, what about the not a style, but what about the sets we play, like in 3-5-2 in pre-season, there's 4-4-2 and there's 4-3-3. What way are we going to play?
Well, that's plan A, plan B and plan C.
All right. So with the players in the group we've got, do you not feel that 3-5-2 may benefit our team?
Horses for courses. We tried it at Kidderminster away against a full-time outfit that was fit, strong, movement was unbelievable, and we questioned our decision that day. Panicked maybe, people might say. So at 1-0 we changed it, and albeit we conceded 2 goals in a 4-1 or whatever people want to call it. And as managers, you've got to try to affect it. And we had overloads in wide areas against Kidderminster, because if Kidderminster side smell blood, they attack you. They're there, and I think that's what we did. But a 3-5-2 something we work on. It's something like John said before about working on a Thursday night. We'll never turn up to a game on a Saturday and go, right, this is what we're going to be. Lads need clarity and an understanding of what the team might be. We never name the side on a Thursday, because players get complacent if they know they're playing on a Thursday. They probably don't train as well as on a Friday as what they should do. So we try to keep everybody chomping at the bit, but we will give signs and indications of this is what we're going to be, this is how the opposition play. So we'll always try and set up the side that aren't going to play on a Saturday as the opposition. Now sometimes you can't get a Matt Reid that's 6'8" and as big as me, as wide as me, but you can only work towards and try and be what you can be. Now tonight's training session will all have been about Catering. Now Catering are an informed side. Do we really want to be going to Catering off the back of a 4-0 win? course we do, yeah. Because that's where we're best. We're best when people doubt us, and we have to go there, roll our sleeves up, and match a side that are going to be on the front foot, going to be physical, they're going to be very similar to Mars, but maybe with a little bit more quality. And a side that I beat Leamington at home 2-0 that we always struggle to beat. So we know what we're up against, and everything we've worked towards tonight will be trying to win the game on Saturday, and not going there feeling sorry for ourselves, thinking we can't afford to lose another game.
Can I just ask Jono, did I hear you right earlier on that you brought a new player in today, is that correct?
No, we thought we did, didn't we? We'd agreed with his club that he was coming on loan, listen, a special player, top player, in our opinion, who I think would have excited everybody. A left footer, quick, strong, everything that you don't get at our level, in fairness, adds everything to his game. But the club he's at, he's basically said, look, he's a full-time player. I want to have a few more days and have a think about what my future looks like. Simple as that. Very difficult with loans. Very, very difficult. The Jack Redshaw one was an easy one to do because he played for us in the past, like most of them do. Been at Salford, like most of them have. Won a league, like most of them have. But a goal scorer gives something totally different to what we had in the squad. So we're always looking what we don't want to do. And I think I talked about the recruitment in the interview the other night about the recruitment on us, and I think there's an imbalance in certain areas of the pitch. I was tweeted by Paul Baker, I don't know if he's here tonight, yesterday, he was going about the nature of the squad, and an agent jumped on my tweet and he said, a lot of players sign for your football club, the club pays an agent fee. Chester don't pay agent fees. It's the right thing to do. It's the absolutely 100% right thing to do, but sometimes you have a player that you think want to sign, and they'll go, oh, we want, what, couple of grand? Disgusting. Agents at this level of football, the money they're required to allow their players to come to you, kill you. So sometimes you might have a plan of, speak to the player first. Do you want to play for Chester Football? Do you want to play for Burn? Yes, yeah. And then some unnamed fella pops in and goes, there's our invoice. Right. Don't mean speaking anymore, mate. No chance. And that's the nature of the beast, unfortunately. Again, that's not an excuse for not getting the players in, because we've got some top players in here with agents. But they need to understand, we will pay you an honest, fair wage. This football club pays honest, fair wages. What it doesn't do is have people jumping in who haven't done any work on it and expecting a backhander. We don't work like that, this club. I wish every football club were the same. So you don't always get what you really want, even though the player perhaps wants it.
Yeah, thank you very much. So training's in 11.5 hours, so we've got to get to bury it back in that time. So we'll call it a close for tonight. So I just want to say thank you, obviously, for coming here this evening. On the back of what happened midweek, obviously it's not an easy thing to do, but I think the fact that it's come tonight, the conversations, and it's appreciated by the members who've been here tonight, and those that have streamed online. The matter of the notes being taken tonight, they'll be published online along with the meeting from the notes from the last meeting, which will be on the website, will be published. And thankfully, finally, just thank you everyone for coming this evening. Appreciate it. First time in about 2 years. So let's hope for a good result and a push on for the season. So thank you everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.